What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and it would appear that Rise of the Skywalker has had a few bumps in the road. In fact, there are rumors of people walking out of the screenings. Now, this video serves as twofold. One, to have a chuckle at the current state of Star Wars, but also Overlord DVD has brought several leaks to the YouTube world and is only 5,000 subscribers short of 100,000. So I thought as a little gift to him, I don't really know him, but he's a consistent YouTuber with a kind of a different spin on his content. I thought I would give him a shout out and maybe we can take him over 100K. Now, he originally leaked maybe a few weeks ago that there was a screening involved, 3 different screenings which had different scores, each section, each act in each of the 3 acts. And they were very low. And even more details came out today. I'm going to share just a few sections of his videos for you now.
Given I've now got 3 separate confirmations of these rumors, I think you can take this news with a little less salt than before. Nevertheless, consider this a rumor. This is verbatim what my source told me. A few months ago, a nearly finished movie was screened to a series of test audiences composed of more or less a 1/4 Star Wars nuts, 1/4 Star Wars fans, 1/4 people who know of Star Wars but don't buy merchandise, and 1/4 folks who are just as likely to see the latest Chipmunks movie as Star Wars. Along with these folks, who are paid, by the way, there were approximately 100 others who were associated with the making of the film in some way. Let's call this the Kennedy/JJ version. The first act, which all the reviewers thought was pretty good, garnered a 65, which is really not too bad. The second act scored a 12, which is really, really bad. The third act scored a 4, with only the folks just as likely to view any movie giving it any points at all. After running it through a half-dozen more test audiences, the aggregate score was a 29.
Now, look, he goes for a significant amount of time disclaiming that these are rumors and he has his sources. I think it's probably too difficult to know for sure, but it's interesting nonetheless. And I'm not surprised given everything we've seen about the movie getting cut and recut. I'm not going to give out any spoilers here, although if you want spoilers, he has them on his channel. The thing is, as much as it's fun to dunk on Star Wars, I'm not a big fan of, say, ruining movies for people. There's some interesting stuff going on there. Now, what I know to be the strongest rumor is that there have been several cuts of the movie. There's a Kathleen cut and then a Bob Iger cut, and there's been many people terminated from the film, and the stories have been swirling about essentially having to remake the movie from scratch. This is back in October, late October. A new rumor indicates Disney and Lucasfilm are remaking almost all of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. The rumor, of course, also comes from the same source, saying, I have Star Wars info that they are still shooting. They have had to remake almost the whole movie as it was tested. The movie was a complete pile of garbage. This is not some sort of casual 2-week reshoot, almost 75% remake. They shot the thing so there were 6 possible main edits, and even then there was no way to put them together, and the movie would have flopped. Now, according to most recent information, now this is of course Collider, so we don't know. Again, they have their loyalties as well, saying J.J. Abrams is known to be a bit of a tinkerer as director. He can make adjustments on the fly and will make sweeping changes up to the very last minute if it's for the betterment of the film. So he went so far as to conduct reshoots for 10 Cloverfield Lane in an office at his Bad Robot facility, and rumors have swirled that Star Wars The Force Awakens went through many changes during post-production, courtesy of some substantial reshoots. But Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, it sounded like Abrams actually nailed the story pretty early. He was brought back into the fold to craft a conclusion, not only just to the sequel trilogy, but to the Skywalker saga as a whole. He then co-wrote the screenplay himself with Oscar-winning Argo screenwriter Chris Terrio. Speaking with EW, Entertainment Weekly, Abrams revealed that The Force Awakens underwent more reshoots than his initial Star Wars film, and if only because The Force Awakens, he was still trying to figure out who these characters were. Quote, "We had more reshoots on episode 7 than this one." Abrams said, "We had more story adjustment on episode 7 than this one. We didn't know these characters would work, if the actors would be able to carry a Star Wars movie. Why did you cast them in the first place? This is classic Disney. There were a lot of things we didn't know on this. We knew who and what worked, and everyone is doing the best work I've seen anyone do." However, Abrams acknowledged that just because there was less tinkering doesn't mean that Rise of the Skywalker was a walk in the park. He called this film far more ambitious than Episode 7. But the ambition of this movie is far greater than The Force Awakens. What we set out to do is far more challenging. Everything is exponentially larger on this. Indeed, as revealed in the film's trailer this summer, Palpatine is back. Rey and Kylo Ren have a fight on the Death Star, and Carrie Fisher's Leia returns courtesy of unused footage from The Force Awakens. Abrams is attempting to tie the entire Skywalker saga together while also providing a satisfying ending for these characters he established in The Force Awakens. That is an incredibly difficult tightrope walk, and I'm incredibly eager to see how he does it. Quote, "JJ had told me the ending, and I read the script, and it was sort of shifting. The ending was pretty similar, and then I was told there was a new, I guess slightly different beat that added that I was told, which was awesome, because it was nice to be told the thing that you can experience if it like the filmmaker. But also, we don't know how it's going to turn out. We did the thing on the side of the camera. We don't know how it's going to turn out. So far, I'm excited to see." So anyway, this is saying, and this isn't to say that things didn't change during Rise of the Skywalker. Daisy Ridley revealed earlier this year that the end of the film was adjusted during filming. And who's to say the ending didn't further change during additional photography? Reshoots aren't inherently a bad thing, as evidenced by the fact that The Force Awakens had many and turned out to be a pretty good movie, but that's their opinion. But it's interesting to see Abrams discuss how more assured he felt this time around, even if the level of difficulty was increased. Now, the movie comes out December 20th, and Bounding into Comics does reveal some interesting possible spoilers, a secret Skywalker, and all sorts of information like this. I don't know. Do I believe, the story that during the reshoots, the scores were bad? It's plausible based on everything we know with the existing Star Wars debacle. Do I think we'll ever find out the truth on that? Probably not. Do I think that people would walk out on a screening that they're paid to screen? It does seem like a stretch. But if you're talking about a true Star Wars fan, and I'm told that they were paid via gift card, apparently, if it really was that bad, if really some of what was spoiled by Overlord Gaming is true, if it is true, I can see why people definitely would want to walk out. I'm told that the ending was very, very bad in that state. Now, the good news for Star Wars fans is, of course, a lot could have changed between now and December 20th. Having to do massive reshoots, that's one take. J.J. Abrams saying it wasn't that much. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, somewhere probably slightly higher than normal given all the stakes. There's a lot on the line for Disney here to impress, to bring back a lot of the fandom that is really disillusioned. Let's be honest. A lot of people that are just disappointed with the direction that Star Wars has gone, they're probably still going to see this movie in some capacity, whether it's going to be a screener file that they find out on deep waters, or they wait for a different file on those deep waters, or they just bite the bullet and they go see the movie. At some point, we know that a lot of Star Wars fans are going to see this movie. It's going to make probably $1 billion. It's tough to guess these days because so much money is made overseas, and the fact that Star Wars is cutting and recutting their films to make them appropriate for the Chinese market just to bank that guaranteed 300, 400 million from the international market is no surprise, but at what cost, one wonders. It's an interesting tightrope act that Disney has got to do these days, focusing on the super woke, diversity and inclusion, but also not putting anything in that Papa Winnie the Pooh doesn't like, which isn't exactly in line with the wokeness, as we've seen, they shrink away black characters on the movie screen, something that everybody lauding Disney for being so super woke here in the United States doesn't seem to have any problem with the fact that they're hiding the blacks in their movies just to appease the Chinese audience. I wonder why nobody has a problem with that. It'd be interesting to see how all of this wraps up. I think ultimately, as I would call myself a filthy casual of Star Wars, I think this film will probably be a letdown. I have seen nothing. When you look at it fairly, I've seen nothing to indicate a change in direction of the Star Wars universe. You could maybe point to the fact that they're not happy with the financials of it. You could point to the fact that Galaxy's Edge has been a disaster for Disney. I think that's just a verifiable fact. Would that be enough to get them to change the movies? No, I don't think so. At the end of the day, I think what you're really seeing here is the manifestation of somebody who loves this project and loves the Star Wars universe in George Lucas, and just a soulless corporation owning it. That's the disconnect we all feel, but can't place our fingers on it. The idea that Disney, which pumps out Marvel films, which are just soulless popcorn films, would be able to provide the same grit and soul that Lucasfilm had in these films was a fool's errand that we should have all seen the first time around. We should have all expected these movies to be soulless cash grabs. That's really what they are at the end of the day. They're a means to get people into their theme park. They're a means to sell merch. They're a means to sell t-shirts and action figures, which they're not doing very well either. And that's why you see all these cute little BB-8s and cute little, little things of Baby Yodas. It's all designed to sell merch. And when you start to do that stuff, a movie franchise, a movie will lose its soul. We've already seen them completely trash Han Solo, bring in a ridiculous Mary Sue. If what I'm hearing about, the Rey versus Palpatine battle is true, it's going to be one of the most hilarious Mary Sue moments in history. This is what happens when you worry about merch and you worry about headlines and you don't care about making a good movie. I hope you enjoyed this video. I do hope that the Star Wars fandom gets something good. I'm just not optimistic. We'll talk to you again real soon.